Good morning, everybody. Bezrat Hashem, listen, we'll see what happens. We're living in a crazy time. The world is changing very quickly, and part of I love the fact that in Judaism, you're obligated to learn every single day because the world's changing every single day. The world is changing. Stock markets are changing. Reality is changing. Just the world is changing. So you have to adapt. You don't adapt, you don't evolve, you die. That's just the way it is. I hate to say it so bluntly, but that's the mitzvah. By the way, Amalek is not just stam a bunch of crazy people. They're there on purpose to help rebalance the Jewish people. We're always in a situation where we're in trouble, right, with Amalek, and it's usually coming from our inability to see or feel a sense of responsibility for each other. If we don't go ahead and feel a sense of achrayut for our fellow brethren, Amalek comes in. October 6th, there was almost civil war in Israel. Right now in Israel, there's still not a lack of unity. Amalek comes in. Look what happened at the Holocaust. The same philosophy. It's interesting. Harambam says that you don't have to be a descendant of Agag to be, or an Amaleki, to be under the rubric of Amalek. It's a philosophy. Harambam, Maimonides. Right? He says, so therefore it's a philosophy. If it's a philosophy, you could have, how can you have, it says, Gemara says, Mihu Edom, Edom is Germarmia, right? It's Germany. So is Germany Amalek? Is Hamas Amalek? Well, which one is it?
Can you do sexual violence?
Well, what's interesting is that we know that the Muslim Brotherhood and Hitler had a very deep relationship, because Hitler knew he couldn't do everything on his own. He wanted to kill all those Jews. He met with the Muslim Brotherhood, gave over his hashkafot about how to get rid of the Jews in the Middle East, and that's what the Muslim Brotherhood spawned up a whole bunch of other organizations, and one of them is Hamas. All right, so it's definitely part of that philosophy, no question about it. So the philosophy's been passed around for quite some time. It's just exposing itself right now. Okay, fine. We're in the middle of Rav Dessler, and he's talking about Mordechai. And Mordechai, we said yesterday, was someone who would not bow down. He would not cower to Haman. We quoted the Gemara in Berachot that said that Rabbi Yochanan said that a person who is of a high merit shouldn't be afraid. He should go ahead and feel like he could go ahead and confront the Rashaim. We're on page 172. He says as follows, second paragraph. The reason Mordechai gives for his action, according to the Midrash, is this. Quote, 172, second paragraph. I cannot flatter an evil man. I'm the standard bearer of the king. The verse says, God rests between the shoulders of Binyamin. The temple is built in its territories. We recall that Mordechai belonged to the tribe of Binyamin. If I were to bow down to this evil man, the Shekhinah might leave me. Meaning, remember, that Mordechai wasn't just a regular dude, wasn't just a regular rabbi, he was a Navi. In order to be a Navi that has God resting upon you, there's certain things, standards of the level of Kedusha that you had to go ahead and make sure that you were involved in. So he wasn't in a position where you could go ahead and bow down to him because he did not want to have the Shekhinah. Now, what's interesting is that it's actually a fascinating conversation. How do you have Nevuah outside of Israel? Up until now, we've always said the Nevi'im had this ability of having Nevuah only in the land of Israel. Why was Mordechai special? That's how special he was. Mordechai was unique. There's certain people that had Nevuah outside. Daniel was one of them. So and the way I can explain it is like this. When the candle burns brightest when it's about to die. The last moments of a candle's life, its strength is that's when it's brightest. And the Nevuah was about to be extinguished. So the Nevuah flame is about to go out, and as it's about to go out, it's brightest, and therefore people had connection to it even outside the land of Israel. So people like Mordechai, Daniel, and others, Ezra, were able to go ahead and have Zerubbabel, were able to have levels of Nevuah outside of Israel, because it's about to go out, and therefore they were able to tap into something that was generally restricted to one area, but because of it's going to be silenced, it is able to be more expansive. The Maharal says, see, Mordechai comes from Binyamin, in whose portion was the resting place of the Shekhinah. It would be a Chilul Hashem if you were to make it what's that word? Obeisance to the evil one. Yeah, like becoming obedient. It would seem as if he no longer trusted God to save him from Haman's clutches. He is the person singled out to sanctify God's name. That was his job. He understood that. Now, we think about it like this. This comes down to ultimately, how you and I think about our belief. Okay? Do I truly believe that everything is from Hashem?
Yes.
Do you truly believe that?
Absolutely.
I don't think we do.
So
100%.
so listen. The proof is, you know where the proof is. The proof is in the money. Okay. Do you believe that at the end of the year, if you do your hishtadlut, you made exactly how much money you needed to make?
It's whatever God ordained.
Okay, so I'm just saying.
He gave me the strength to make what I needed to
Then
make.
why
So I'm going to make what I need to make.
why are we so frustrated so often? Why do we get frustrated? Why do we get depressed? Why?
Because we're not living up to our potential. It's not because God's not giving us to us.
It's because we don't fully believe it.
It's emotionally we don't integrate it to our core.
I said it's because we fully don't believe it.
You're
If we
100%
truly
right. I
believed
take it back.
if we truly.
Mic drop, done.
No, I think that there's truth to that also, but at the end of the day, if you were someone that truly believed that there's Borei Olam in our lives, that has everything there, he's trying to make everything great for us, right? He's there to help us, he's there to go ahead and inspire us and provide for us, that he loves you more than you could possibly imagine, that even when things don't go right, we should be like, okay, this is part of Hashem's plan, he's got my back, he loves me.
We would never have a worry.
We would never have any worry.
You're 100% right. That was
Right, and therefore I would say that like so Mordechai is not just a guy who's saying it, he lives it. He knows 100% that everything is good. There is no bad, and therefore, but I want to maintain this relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu. I have that kind of trust, so I'm not going to bow down. I know that Hashem has my back. I have to be the one creating the chizuk for Am Yisrael in Galut. I have to be the one that's going to stand up and push back Amalek. I'm not bowing down. I'm not doing that. Okay, so if we try and understand this in more depth, there's something we must realize. This is what Rav Dessler says. He says the attitude of the great tzaddikim of old to Esav and his progeny reflects the battle that each Jew has to wage with his Yetzer Hara. There are two possible approaches. Okay, one is evasion of conflict or direct confrontation. Two ways. You're either going to go ahead and just like try to avoid it, or you're going to go straight in. Most people would like to avoid. Most people don't like conflict, except for Jack. He likes conflict, right? But most people try to evade conflict. Most people don't want to go ahead and head it on because it's uncomfortable. And the truth is, the brain, if it has a choice between doing something that is comfortable versus uncomfortable, what do you think wins always? Comfort always beats uncomfortable. Always.
Comfort always beats it.
And therefore, if the brain has to do a task and it chooses between doing something difficult or easy, it'll always choose to do the easy task first. There's actually a great book called Eat That Frog. And I could tell you the whole entire book. It's very simple. The book is about. I mean, you can read it. It's a good book to read, I think. But I just tell you the book right now, save you some money and some time. The whole book is like this. If you have to do a task, if I was to ask you to eat 3 frogs, okay, how would you start? What would you do? So some people would say, I'll eat the smallest frog. I'll eat the frog that's not so ugly. And the way the premise of this book basically is that if you have to eat 3 frogs, you choose the ugliest, most disgusting frog first. And then you go from the most disgusting to the least disgusting.
Frogs have bones?
I have no idea. I mean, yes, they do, but actually, it's a delicacy in France. Yes, they do have bones. But anyway, the point is, I'm not talking about. Well, you can swallow a frog. You can swallow fish. Have bones also. People swallow goldfish.
I don't think that's
I'm just
the point.
The point. Jack, this is exactly what I was saying about confrontation. Anyway, so you have a choice of either engaging in the most difficult challenge first, or doing something that's easy. And when we prime our brains to say, you know what, the way in which we solve problems by doing the most difficult thing first, and then the easy stuff last, you'll be more matzliach. You'll feel better. Because the second you finish the easy task and you have to go to a more difficult task, you're already burnt out because I already did my task. So he says that the author basically argues that first do the most difficult thing. You got to start with the most difficult thing first. Get rid of that, then the easy stuff comes easy. You'll get rid of it. Anyway, so there's 2 approaches here, right? One is this approach of evasion or direct confrontation. Okay, Yaakov, before his encounter with Esau, prepared for both gifts and war. Transferred to this inner sphere of battle with the Yetzer Hara, we learn that one can confront the Yetzer Hara head on, or one can try to evade the conflict. Now, the truth is, I have found that when I personally try to head on the Yetzer Hara directly, I always lose. You lose. He's too powerful. He's the master of the sea. He knows your inner workings, your own head. Sometimes you have to be evasive maneuvers to go ahead and deal with your Yetzer Hara. You have to know how to psych yourself out. So there was a time in my life where I had the schut of I had a chavruta in the morning, every morning, my old friend David Goldstein, and we would learn in Ahavat. I told you that we learn in Ahava in the mornings, and
Is this considered a chavruta?
This is not. This is a shiur. This is more like a, this is like a, yeah. This is more of a conversation than a shiur even. It's a chabura. And so I would have my chavruta, one-on-one learning with a guy, intense learning. We would have our shachrit, have a little bit of breakfast, a little bit of Rabbi Aluf in the morning, and then from there I'd go to the gym. And I did that for 5 years every single day. It's the best.
It's
I was
amazing.
a beast.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway, amazing.
Were you married then?
Right? I was married then, yeah. I stopped doing this in 2020, right, during COVID. From 2015 to 2020, I had to figure out how to get back, but that changed, the world changed. Anyway, Kitzur is that part of what we would do is that we would have all kinds of, we would do all sorts of different types of exercises for muscle strength, not muscle mass. We believe that pound for pound, the strongest people in the world were gymnasts. And that even if they don't have the biggest muscles, but for like muscle for muscle, like grip strength, grip, all that, we would do all kinds of things. We would measure. And part of what we would do is that we would measure, because you can't measure, you don't manage. At the end of the week, if we saw that we actually got the results we wanted, we went out and we bought our body a gift. We rewarded ourselves. We got either a nice sandwich or like a shake, something that like, and we said before we drank it, we did the bracha, we said, I'm doing this to reward the body for being aligned with my goals. Because there's an understanding that the body itself has its own wants.
You're amazing.
Right? You have to do things, like you have to trick, you have to go ahead and trick the body to get yourself aligned with the things that you want. Because if you have a choice between getting up and sitting down, you're always going to want to sit down. Where's the motivation come from? So I got to I have to trick my body into doing the things that I wanted to do. And therefore, when we have this conflict with the Yetzer Hara, you could try to evade or head it straight on. Now, everyone's going to find their own unique way of doing this. Let's see how Rav Dessler talks about it a little bit over here, and then we'll call it a day. Okay? So he says evasion can be achieved by making use of principles of Shalom Lishma. Say, I make up my mind to serve God completely Lishma, without thought of self. But my Yetzer is not too happy with this decision. What do I get out of this? It says one can choose to reject this demand absolutely, right? One can choose. You could just forget about this. Don't do it. Why do you need personal benefits if you have the opportunity of serving God out of love? Why do you got to do this? Meaning, if your Yetzer Hara is always going to figure out a counter argument to anything that you choose. Okay, so you say you want to do things Shalom Lishma, right? You're not thinking about the self, but the Yetzer Hara doesn't want that. So he says, what do I get? The Yetzer Hara says, well, what do I get out of it? This is why you got to feed the body. The body at some point is going to say, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm tired. But if you keep rewarding the body and saying, hey, I know that it's hard for you, but I'm giving you this. Like it's like when you go elephant riding, you have to feed the elephant bananas to keep reinforcing and doing what you want. The same is true with the body. And therefore, when you have a personal battle, you're going into war, you have to think of two different ways of dealing with the Yetzer Hara, like Yaakov. One is on doing the psychological warfare, evasion, right? War, gifts is part of the evasion, supporting, it's, oh, you're the best, you're amazing, and you go your way, I go my way, or preparing for actual full-out confrontation. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll double down on this idea at the bottom over here, evasion and confrontation. We'll expand it a little bit more tomorrow. I don't want these things to be too long. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.